causing the spread of
ages
the
of
virus.
25 and 55.
As Omicron continues to surge
91%
nationwide.
of COVID patients in this hospital are
Rare
more than
type of
2,000.
blood clot. You have said and done so far, and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What is your name, age, and affiliation?
My name is Sarmad. I'm 18 years old and I go to Central High School.
And I go to Central High School.
My name is Judy Trong and I'm a student at Central High School.
I'm John Lobron. I'm the librarian at Barnwell Library, and I've been teaching at Central for 12 years and with the School District of Philadelphia for 28 years.
In one word, how would you describe the federal government?
I would describe the federal government as selfish.
I would describe them as unresponsive.
I would describe it as ineffective at times.
Unwieldy.
During the pandemic, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think the federal government handled the pandemic?
I would say a 6.
A 4.
About a 5.
For purposes of the survey, the short answers is give them a 5 out of 10, right?
The seemingly everlasting effects of the coronavirus pandemic have followed us into the new year. But the question remains, how well did the federal government handle such an adversity that would change the lives of millions of Americans? But before expecting anything from the government, what exactly is the national government responsible for? Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution gives the federal government, Congress more specifically, the ability to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper. This necessary and proper clause can be interpreted to include implied powers, which are essential in carrying out the enumerated powers in the Constitution. This means that in any necessary emergency, the federal government has the authority to make laws that promote safety and wellness. The United States federal government bureaucracy also plays a huge role in the lives of millions of Americans. Administrations such as FEMA, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the CDC, and countless others all specialize in working to keep U.S. citizens safe. It is also important to recognize that the national government owes its citizens inherent rights, which according to the Constitution is the right to general welfare. This implies that the federal government is responsible for the health, peace, and safety of its citizens. After the late 2019 outbreak of coronavirus in Wuhan, China, it did not take long for the virus to make its way to the rest of the world, including the United States. The airborne nature of the virus gave it the ability to spread quickly and effectively, infecting millions of Americans. Because the virus mutated, the original variant of COVID-19 was followed by several others. During the last 2 years between the Trump and Biden administration, America suffered from the deaths of over 700,000 Americans. At its peak, over 10 million people were unemployed and millions of children were out of school. The public became heavily reliant on answers from the government. In 2020, President Trump's administration acknowledged the increase in unemployment and the helplessness of Americans. To address the matters, Trump and his administration came up with a plan to distribute COVID relief packages to help aid America.
Signed the single biggest economic relief package in American history, and I must say, or any other package, by the way. It's $2.2 billion, but it actually goes up to $6.2 potentially trillion dollars. So you're talking about a $6.2 trillion bill.
In April of 2020, eligible tax-paying adults received a check of up to $1,200, while eligible dependents under 16 years of age received $500 each. This positively impacted unemployed and burdened Americans. With over 160 million payments, for the first time Americans felt like the government was on their side. The money was used for rent, medical bills, medication, and many other necessities. The federal government continued to assist needy Americans even through the change in administration. A second and third round of stimulus checks were released in December of 2020 and March of 2021. Another result of the pandemic was virtual school. A large percentage of American schools were shut down and parents were forced to stay home and watch their kids. Because schools were closed, many students were deprived of lunches. To address this issue and ensure that families remained healthy throughout quarantine, the Families First Coronavirus Response Act was passed. It was a bill introduced in Congress to address the economic consequences of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The act funds free coronavirus testing, 14 days of paid leave for working Americans affected by the pandemic, and more food stamp funding. This act assisted millions of Americans and their children in maintaining a healthy lifestyle while following CDC guidelines. It also encouraged those diagnosed with COVID to stay home and self-isolate, slowing the spread of the virus. In early 2021, the Biden administration focused on rolling out COVID vaccinations. Currently, over 75% of the population has its first dose, while over 63% is fully vaccinated. COVID-related hospitalizations and deaths were significantly lessened for those who were vaccinated. About 30% of anti-vaxxers are getting vaccinated after the variant Omicron was discovered. He's expanding the booster campaign to try and get the American population vaccinated so that the number of cases decrease and the pandemic could finally end. Biden also wants to launch family vaccination clinics for families to get vaccinated in one place. This will increase the number of people that get vaccinated and in turn lower the number of COVID cases. Biden recently implemented a way for families to receive at-home COVID tests. UPS is sending 4 at-home COVID tests per family because of the shortage of appointments and availability to get tested elsewhere.
Piece of this is making free at-home tests more available than ever before and having them covered by your private insurance plans, available in thousands of locations and available at community health centers and other sites for the uninsured who don't have insurance.